Good morning. Thank you for joining me for today's video. My name is Tracy Held. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne in Australia, and this is my regular Sunday stamping. Now, today's card is one that is oh so cute, if I say so myself. Let me show it to you. So, I got myself a new stamp set which arrived last week. And you know how it goes sometimes with a new stamp set. You sort of really like the set, put it away and never actually get to use it. And other times you just can't stop using it. Well, these elephants are one of those that I just can't stop using. I've been playing and playing and playing with them all week. And I had to make them into Christmas elephants. This is one of those ones where I'm using different products pulling in from all over the show. Sometimes I try and keep it just to one suite or bundle, but other times you just can't do that. So let's go through what we're using today. Of course, the Elephant Parade stamp set, and it has matching elephant dies. Then the Leaves and Berries and Sentiment are from the Leaves of Holly stamp set, and we've used the holly berry dies as well. Haven't got the full set yet, but the hats come from the gnomes dies, and see the spots in the background over there? That's from the Spots and Dots dies. Lots of stuff there. I'm also using the Snowfall Accents puff paint. We've done that one before to make the pom-poms on the hats. And the elephants come facing one direction, and I wanted them sort of looking at each other. So we're going to do some shadow stamping as well. And for that, I'm going to need my Stamparatus. Okay, so let's get started with the stamping. I'm going to do my little elephant first. So you need your silicone craft sheet for this, and we're putting that onto the Stamparatus. Ink up your elephant and stamp it onto the craft sheet. Now when I'm doing this, I actually like to ink it up twice, just so that I've got a nice bit of ink on my craft sheet. And then I'm going to put my piece of paper down, and this time I don't need to ink up because we really want the ink to transfer from the back, so that doesn't matter. And we're going to stamp it onto there, and I'm going to just move my piece of paper down and just checking, yep, that'll be fine. Stamp another elephant. Okay, so that's our elephant all stamped, ready to go. Now I'm going to color him in, and as per usual, I'm doing really simple coloring. I've got my dark petal pink blend. I just want to move the ink because I'm about to stick my hand straight into that. So dark petal pink blend, which I'm going to color the inside of the ears. And remember, the bottom one is the one that we've got the reverse image, so I'm going to color on the back for that one. And then I've got my dark smoky slate blend, and I just use the thin tip to go around the ears, just because I think that's easier to deal with without the thick bit. And then my thick tip just to fill him in. Now I'm leaving the eyes white but I'm not concerned about whether I go over some of the ink, because as that dries, and I'll show you on my other card in a minute, you actually get those variations in color if you've gone over some of it and not over others, which I quite like. And just a little bit in the tip of his tail. And we can do the same on this one. And the blends do bleed through the paper, but that's okay because we're going to stick them flat and you're not going to see them anyway. If I was going to stick it that this was going to be showing the back of it, I would just cut out another one and stick it on the back. Now, what I was saying is, if you look closely at my elephants over here, can you see the variations in the color where there I've maybe gone over the grey with a couple of strokes, and there I haven't, but that's okay. I think that it's nice if the elephant looks a little bit shaded. So we're going to run that through our die cut machine. Obviously for this one, let's just find the die here. When I cut it, no, I'm terribly confused about which one is which. Okay, so that's the one that we've done the reverse stamping on. So when I cut it out, I'm going to cut it out so that my die fits the front, but because the back is in exactly the same spot, when I cut it, it's going to cut out that I then have my two elephants looking at each other. Okay, so there's my little elephants. Let's do the pom-pom on his hat. Oh, sorry, my brain just went right. Then the embossing powder. So just bear with me. We're going to just have some heat embossing noise for a few minutes, and you can actually watch that paint puff. There we go, that puffed nicely. I'm not quite sure why we got an extra little spurt at the end, but that's okay. So we now have two hats because I did one earlier. Now for the leaves, I've cut out the leaves from my holly berry dies. Okay, so this is the smaller size, so we've cut out the leaf and I've used that piece to cut out a piece on the gold with my gold foil sheet, and I've stuck that onto adhesive sheet. Now what I've done, just to be a little bit different, is instead of using the outline of the leaves here, I'm actually using those inside bits that have cut out. So I'm keeping the outside pieces. I'm going to use those for something else, but instead of throwing away these inside bits, we can just pull them out, and this is where the adhesive sheet is really helpful, particularly when you get to those small little bits. At least we're not getting glue everywhere. So we're going to stick those on the leaves. But wants to leave my fingers. I should probably learn to use the tweezers in the new embossing pack, because sometimes, particularly when you have polish on your nails, it's not so easy to grab these tiny little pieces. That one doesn't look like I've stuck it right. Hang on 1 second, let's just shift that. There we go, that looks better. And it's this last tiny little one over there, I find normally just stays in the die when I cut it, so I just leave it or throw it away. I'm not too fussed about it. That one needs to move in a little bit. Okay, didn't get a very straight line for my leaves here. Let's see. Okay, they're creative leaves. Right, so once we've done that, we've got 3 leaves. I've stamped my sentiment and cut it out with that die, again from that Holly Berry set. And I just want to stamp some of the berries inside my card. Okay. So with my real red ink, we're taking the solid berry in the pack, and I'm just stamping that off and stamping it over full strength. Okay, and we're ready to start assembling our card. So I've got an old olive card base, and I know that old olive is sometimes a very divisive color. Some people love it, some people hate it. Green's not my favorite color, but I think that it does work well for a Christmas color. And I've cut out my dots and spots, so that leaves all those dots poking through. I'm just going to put a bit of glue going around the edges here, and just a little bit randomly just to hold the card. So that's going on top. Now I put my leaves down first. Okay, so we're going to start with the one in roughly the center, and I'm sticking all the leaves flat. And then we've got one on either side where I've got my stems sort of meeting at the bottom. Sentiment, I've cut another label out exactly the same as that one, and what I'm doing is my usual, cutting that in half lengthways. And we're going to stick that top and bottom of the sentiment so that I've got a bit of colour poking out around the edges. If you've watched my lives before, you'll know that I do this all the time. I just find it a really easy way to just add a little something to your sentiments. And again, that's going to stick flat. And let's just stick the insert in as well so that that doesn't get forgotten. Now, our hats need to go onto our elephants. I'm going to put a bit of glue just around the bottom over here. And there we go, stick it onto his head. And the same for the other one. And they're going to stick on with dimensionals. I'm just using up the edge pieces of these dimensionals. I don't know if it's necessary, but I'm going to just put a little bit of dimensionals in the middle there as well. And while I'm cutting my dimensionals, let's just put some behind berries. Okay, and then our elephants can go onto the card. And just make sure that you're putting them so that they're facing the wrong way. We don't want them to look like they've just had a big fight and they're not talking to each other. I'm going to move him over just a slight little bit. There we go. And the very last thing, our berries, just to cover up the bottom of the leaves over there. Alright, and there is my oh so cute Christmas card with elephants. I hope that you've enjoyed this. Are you busy making your Christmas card? If you check out my blog, I've got free tutorials that I'm putting up on a Tuesday and a Friday, so at traceofcreativity.com. That was a collaboration with a whole lot of other demonstrators. We've each done one tutorial and we're sharing them, so that'll get you a boost on your Christmas card. If you're still looking for more Christmas, Stamp Camp is next week. So if you go onto my blog, you'll find the information there. Otherwise, hop onto my online page and order the Boughs of Holly suite, and I will then send you a tutorial with the card bases to make all those cards, and you'll be invited to a private Facebook group where we do bonus project. So if you have a look at the blog hop, the Creativity Abounds blog hop that went live on Thursday, you'll see all the bonus projects that are going to be at that STEM camp. So if you place your order today, I can't promise that you'll have everything in time for it, but of course you've got the tutorial bundle, you can make those cards whenever you like. Now, just a word of warning, next week I'm not going to be on at my usual time. I've had something else that we need to do on Sunday morning, so it'll be a little bit later, probably at about 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. So until next week, have a good week. Enjoy playing with your elephants if you've got them. If you don't have them, you may want to get them so that you can keep playing with them because you're not going to be able to stop. See you next week. Bye.